A new report says an online clinic is offering abortion pills to women in 5 U.S. states even before they are pregnant. The Washington Examiner says the pills are part of the provider's, quote, advanced provision program. In 4 states, the pills are available to women and girls starting at age 15. In all 5 states, parental consent is not required. And we go now to Jessica Anderson, Executive Director at Heritage Action. Jessica, welcome back. Great to be with you. Tell us a little bit more about the story and what states are these pills available and how easy would it be for a woman to acquire them?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and shedding light on this incredibly important development in the fight to protect life across the country post-Dobbs. I think what we're seeing with this story is states like New Mexico that are offering these pills to women, to young girls, 15 years or younger, is really showing the real intent of the pro-abortion movement and how radical they are, that they want to take away the most intimate form of motherhood, of having a baby, before you're even at the point where the baby's in the delivery room. They're treating birth as if it was just some other medical condition that needed to be fixed or addressed with these pills before the baby's even at 10 weeks. So it's radical, it's extreme, it's disappointing, and it's frustrating to see states like New Mexico take this on full head, and especially without parental consent.
Oh, absolutely. And let's talk about the risks, with these pills and the implications to a woman's health, both physical and mental.
Well, that's right. And frankly, the science and the medicine hasn't even gone so far as to expose the long-term damage that taking pills like this can have to a woman on the mental side. The physical side, we know it right away, which is that it completely destroys and aborts the pregnancy, the life of the unborn in a woman's utero. But then you've got the mental aspect where you're literally taking abortion pills as if it were candy or as if it was Advil or Tylenol to fix a headache. You're completely dehumanizing and separating the very existence of motherhood from the baby. And so that impact on a woman's mental health, certainly its impact on her physical health, those damages are longstanding. They're not to be celebrated. And they're certainly something that I think generations of women that are exposed to this are going to have to deal with year after year after year. And certainly when it finally comes around that they decide that they want to have a baby, then they're left with the pain and the harsh reality that they've aborted babies before.
Absolutely. And, I want to go back to that parental consent again, not needed for these abortion pills. It's really interesting because I believe nearly every state, as well as D.C., has statutory laws that require a person to be 18 to get a tattoo. And even if you want to get your ears pierced, you still need parental consent if you're underage. However, parents are cut out of this process when it comes to these abortion pills, and they're dangerous and also potentially life-threatening.
Yeah, that's right. The movement from the left to further separate parents from their children, we're seeing it in the issue of life and the pro-abortion advocates. We're seeing it with transgender treatments and grooming of children in schools. We're seeing it with critical race theory. I mean, it's across the social and cultural spectrum right now. And it really just goes back to the fact that the state wants to own your kids. They don't want parents making decisions in concert for what's best for their children. And so when you remove parental consent from one of the most intimate choices, like having a child and bringing a child into this world, you're further separating that linkage of family. And as we all know, families really are the bedrock to American society. They're one of our most important American institutions. And it's incredibly disconcerting that you would have healthcare companies under the guise of women's health go in and basically promote these abortifeed pills to young children as young as 15 without parental consent, when you can't even get an ID, driver's license, permit, drink, vote, anything like that, until you're at least 18, and certainly with parental consent in some of those instances.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of horrifying. Almost out of time, but I quickly want to talk about this tweet that you put out last week. You wrote in part, quote, conservatives in California, Illinois, Maine, and New Mexico need to take note. So what can be done to counter these abortion pill programs?
Well, state lawmakers and certainly governors can actually put the restraints in their state to require parental consent or to flat out say that these bills cannot be sent in state post offices or delivered to minors or even outlawed in the state. And we've started to see some success from this with conservative lawmakers at the state level, conservative governors pushing back on the abortion pill giants. And I think a lot of the pro-abortion movement is actually going to head in this direction with telemedicine and sending these pills across state lines through the U.S. Postal Service. And so we're really calling on all conservative lawmakers to stand up for the unborn, to stand up for true women's health care for women everywhere, support life protections at the state level, especially in this post-Dobbs era with more and more states that are grappling with, are they going to be part of the abortion regime and the abortion giant, or are they going to protect life from those most vulnerable? I hope more are going to land on the latter, and that's what we're calling conservative lawmakers to do beginning today.
Well, Jessica, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about all this. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.